Welcome to Lumen, a podcast that sheds light on mental health, relationships, and what it means to be human. I'm Christopher Mooney, LCSW.
And I'm Kenyon Phillips, LMSW. Each episode, we unpack psychological patterns that affect our relationships. No jargon, no judgment.
Just thoughtful conversations to help you understand yourself and others a little more clearly.
Living in this day and age, when I ask myself the question, why am I so tired? The first thing that occurs to me is information overload. There is so much coming at us through these phones, which are on me at all. My phone's on me at all times. Just the sheer amount of information that we're having to process at all times, whether we're aware of it or not.
Yeah.
Could be one factor.
I think is a huge factor. I think, and we can get into like how different generations are trying to manage that information overload. But I think when we just look at having a device on us and the constant feed of information and we've talked about our fear of missing out and our need to kind of keep up with everybody in comparison. So we're always checking those alerts, right? It's triggering our fear. So we check the alerts when it happens. We're trying to keep up. We're looking at comparison. And then what happens is we just end up seeing news flash after news flash or alert after alert. And it's kind of re-traumatizing us over and over and over again.
And it isn't even limited to the news. The news feed is a huge part of it for me. Right. But whatever your social channels are feeding you, emails keep coming through, text messages keep coming through, the occasional phone call keeps coming through. If somebody is like Gen X or older, they still use the phone. I still use the phone.
No voicemails though.
No voicemails. That's done. That's the thing about it. But the single point of contact for all these various channels, that's stressful.
It is. It's stressful trying to manage it, keep it all straight. And then there's this phenomenon where if you're getting bad information all the time, it's
bad information as in negative,
as in like negative violence, trauma, political information, regardless of what side you land on, or it's too much. And God forbid if you're in the middle somewhere, you're getting both. Right. So it's all of this feed of just negativity and it is traumatic and it builds anxiety. And it's about the climate. It's about ICE. It's about politics. It's about policy. It's about tariffs. It's all this stuff comes in. And we can't really do anything about it.
Right.
So what happens is we're getting this feed constantly. And there's this sensation that we need to do something because it's traumatic and it's worrisome and it causes anxiety. So all of those fight or flight kind of like protective things that we talked about that happen with anxiety, what happens is that gets activated.
Right.
All of a sudden we're in fight or flight mode or freeze. And we don't know what to do because we can't do anything. It's just yet another alert, another headline, another thing happened that we're looking at.
Right. And
so what happens is that everybody ends up being in this constant state of worry and anxiety and panic and trauma. And I don't like to overuse that word. I think trauma is kind of thrown around very easily now, but this becomes a traumatic experience because we are living in a constant state of fight or flight.
Well, part of trauma, I think the definition of it is, experiencing something extremely like life-threatening and coupled with the sense that we can't do it. We're helpless.
That's right. Now look at this scenario.
Right.
We've got all of these things that are coming at us, these worries, and the intensity increases. The headlines, because it's everything from news is meant to grab you so that you watch more of it.
Right.
I remember
sensationalize.
I remember when news went 24-hour cycles.
Yeah.
I think it was somewhere in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Became the 24-hour news cycle. And we started watching that and you could turn it off then because it was still just TV. Now it's just so
the feed is
prevalent.
constant.
It's prevalent. It's to your phone. It's to your computers. It's to your
television.
It's through everything.
Right.
And so what happens everywhere you go, you just get this. So you have this scenario where you're inundated with this idea of violence and aggression and all of these things that worry you.
Right.
And then you can't do anything about it because you're just seeing it through your phone screen.
Right.
And so what happens, you see it through the screen. It's like, well, okay, well, I can post about it. What's that? That's not really doing anything. And you see people do this when something bad happens. Oh, I'm going to send my thoughts and prayers. I'm going to post about it. I'm going to put out a bunch of pictures about it or
a video.
Or a video. And that's bringing awareness to the situation, but it's not solving the anxiety.
So it's not really processing the anxiety.
It's not processing it.
Is it doing the opposite?
It's just kind of kicking the can down the road.
Okay.
We're still feeling the anxiety. We're still feeling the trauma, and we're still feeling really damaged by this. It's still the traumatic experience is still increasing, and the effect on us as a whole is still increasing.
Right.
So we can read, but the thing is, like, the more we look online, the more that's posted about it and counter to the things that are happening, which is good. We need to activate and be activists in a lot of these scenarios. But the problem is it's still contributing to more of the bad feeling. I'm not doing enough. What else can I do? Where can I do anything? And if we're not moving to resolve the actual situation, then we're still left with this kind of traumatic feeling. Right. And that, as we know, with trauma, builds over time. Right. And this isn't like one singular event. And I've talked with this and gone over this with clients before and other people. Like, I think as human beings, we're probably more well suited to deal with one singular traumatic event than we are that low level or mid level consistent, trauma. Right. And that's something we look at, how awful, like something, a car accident or a fire or even something really awful like 9/11, right? We look at it, we can see it, we can compartmentalize and say, this thing happened on this date at this time. And here were the consequences of it. Here's how I feel about it. And it's still traumatic and it still hurts. We can work through that. Yeah. When there's low level or lower level consistent trauma, it's much harder to identify a resolution and it's much harder to work through. Right. Because it's slippery. It's like sand through our hands.
It reminds me of the frog in the hot water analogy.
It's exactly the frog in the hot water.
So like the one-time trauma, the single trauma is like suddenly the water goes to boiling, the frog jumps out. Right. The frog can get out of that situation, process the trauma. But what you're talking about, this low-level constant trauma, is like slowly turning the heat up on that water, and the frog will stay.
The frog will stay and just boil to death. It doesn't know that, it doesn't feel that shock. Right. Right. And so there's no recognition that it's in trouble until it's too late. That's a perfect analogy of kind of what we're dealing with right now is we are slowly being boiled. Yeah. In so many different ways. Right. If we look at climate change and political situations and just the world in general. Right. And how we process things and the inundation of social media and the pressure for society to perform, keeping up with everything.
Perform. That's a really, really interesting word.
Right.
In this context. We are in this world that we live in. I think there's an expectation to perform at all times. Yeah. Whether you're on the job or as being a parent, right, being a partner, at the gym, like perform, high performance, maximum performance.
That's right.
The world is a stage.
We have to show up, and it's the comparison too.
Yeah.
Other people are doing this thing where I see what I think they're doing. Right. Right. Or I see what they want me to see. Right. Therefore, I have to do the same, if not better.
Yes.
And it has to look good. It has to look perfect.
That's enough to make me really tired.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with everything, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
If you're asked to always be on, right, like on point, it's mentally exhausting. It's physically exhausting and it's emotionally exhausting. And we can look at tiredness in those kind of three brackets. Right. Right. So we think about physically exhausting. We know that feeling. Right. Right. Oh, I stayed up too late, or it's anything. You went out and you say, I go for a hike or a run. I'm like exhausted later, or I'm tired. Right. We get worn down physically just from doing basic things.
And also like what we're expected to do. So you're expected to go out at night after you've been working all day. You're expected to drink when you go out. Right. You come back and maybe you have a substance in your system. You wake up the next morning, you haven't slept enough. You haven't slept it off.
That's right.
And then the cycle begins again. It's just kind of like repeats itself.
Yeah. When you go to sleep after drinking, your body actually never sleeps. It doesn't rest. It's working in overtime trying to process all the alcohol out. And alcohol is the only substance that kind of goes through every single cell of our body because it's water soluble.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
Alcohol, when we drink, goes through our bloodstream and it goes into every cell. Most other drugs don't do that.
Right.
Or the same way.
Right. They get stored in the fat cells.
Yeah, they store in the fat cells, or, it does other things. But alcohol that's why it's so toxic, because it is going to every cell. And then your body, your liver is doing what it's supposed to when you go to sleep, which is, holy crap, I got to get rid of this stuff.
Filter.
And so your kidney and your livers are like working overtime. So you're not actually getting rest. And what's so fascinating is you can use these sleep trackers at night or one of your smartwatches and actually look at the difference, your heart rate variability, your stress levels, and all of these different measurements and metrics now are all increased if you drink and then go to sleep. So you wake up and you think you're like, yeah, I passed out, I went to sleep, I got tons of rest. You're not actually, you're going to wake up more exhausted.
That's huge.
It's massive. Yeah.
I mean, like, how many clients do I have who self-medicate with alcohol in order to sleep?
That's right.
Like, I need to
even
have
a little.
Yeah, I need to have a glass or two of wine in order to fall asleep. And if I don't have that, I can't sleep.
Right.
And yet what we're doing is putting our bodies into overdrive.
Yeah. Our bodies,
preventing us from
our bodies are actually these really amazing, well-balanced machines.
Mm-hmm.
And every little thing we do kind of tips it in another direction. So that could be alcohol and substance use. It could be stress. It's phones. It's all these things we talk about that contribute to our mechanics just being slightly off. Right. You wouldn't drive a car for 10,000 miles and not change the oil. I mean, some people would, but like you rotate the tires, you change the brake pads, you make sure the oil is changed.
Maintenance.
You do maintenance. And you try not to pour water or other things in your engine, in your gas, right? You don't want to like mess up the system. Right. It's a machine. We kind of have to look at our bodies the same way. And how we function. So when we start getting overtired and stressed out and traumatized and all of these other things that we're trying to manage, and it's being thrown at us constantly, our resilience breaks down. Right. Physically, we break down. We might start to feel like my hips kind of hurt a little bit. My back hurts. Yeah. I don't sleep as well. I have headaches. Right. You start headaches. You start to notice all these little changes.
I need to drink more coffee.
Which
never helps.
No. Well, it helps in the moment, but then I inevitably overdo it, coffee especially. And then I hit that one where I'm like, I get that headache then from the coffee. Right. Because I'm trying to keep up. Right. All of these things contribute to feeling kind of awful. And that's just the physical part.
Yeah. That's not even the mental.
That's not the mental or the emotional part.
Right.
We can differentiate between mental and emotional things too.
Mental exhaustion, when I see it, when I experience it, I think about grad school, when I was just like studying, I was just cramming, procrastinating, and then worried about a paper. And so I ended up just like working constantly, readings and videos and writing. And my brain felt like it had been running laps.
Absolutely. You're trying to consume so much information that you just can't keep up, right? You need a break. When we think about how we address ADHD issues or learning issues with kids, there's all different models to do this. Right. The most successful models are the ones that break things up into small sections.
Chunking.
Right. We break things up into small sections. We give ourselves scheduled breaks. We work for 15 minutes, study for 15 minutes or half an hour, whatever you can tolerate, right? When you start to get a little squirrely, take a 5-minute break, schedule your breaks in. And that's one way to kind of deal with this mental exhaustion. Right. We think about how much information we're consuming day to day, picking up the phone again. How much of that stuff that's already traumatic or anxiety inducing are we consuming? Right. And it's by the bucketful. Yeah. Right. And then young kids, we both have young children. Young kids are being asked to consume so much more information than we can even wrap our heads around. Right. And then with each generation that changes. Yeah. And the amount of information that they're exposed to is so much different even to what we take in every day. And we're still existing in society, right? We're still.
That's amazing to think about. That overload, that information overload that we're conditioning our children to sort of become accustomed to.
Absolutely.
So that then they can take in even more information. That is insane.
Yeah.
I remember once going to a concert at the Sphere in Las Vegas. It was when it first opened and YouTube was doing a residency there.
Right.
And I was told ahead of time, it's really an overwhelming experience. And it can be emotionally exhausting. I found at one point, I was totally into it. The visuals that are in front of you and above your head, they're 15K. We're used to 4K, maybe 5K at best. 15K resolution for these incredibly vivid and kinetic visuals, right? I fell asleep. In the concert.
You're just exhausted? You just got tired?
I just got overwhelmingly tired. It wasn't like I hadn't slept the night before and I went into the concert excited.
Right.
I think information overload put me to sleep for like 10, 15 minutes. And I wonder if it was partially because I was taking in extremely high resolution
stimulation.
Right.
It's your brain, you just get overstimulated and your brain overheats. You're like, I'm going to shut down for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to check out.
Yeah.
And I'll come back in a few minutes. Yeah.
Right. Literally.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I never thought about it in that context, but I do believe information overload causes this kinds of mental exhaustion. What does emotional exhaustion look like? Is that?
Well, I think as therapists, we definitely, it's constant.
Yeah.
The emotion, like think about all of the emotions you're managing every day. So in this line of work, it's a constant feed of other people's feelings. And it's regulated a little bit, but our job kind of puts us in this space of like, hey, we want to take more and more of this. We need to have it in that kind of emotional intensity to kind of get as they say, the work done.
Right.
You're turning up the emotional intensity. And then that gets, I don't know, if you finish your day after you see a couple people in a row or you've had a lot of like heavy conversations with people, how do you feel? Do you feel like you want to go run a marathon or do you feel like you want to crawl in bed?
Yeah. It's so funny. Like when I will because I'll do sessions at night too. And then I'll run into the kids' room and, put them to bed.
Yeah.
And frequently I'll just pass out.
Yeah.
With my 4-year-old, I'll read the book.
Yeah. And you just write out.
Yeah.
I had the same experience when my kids were little. I would get home from work. I would do the same thing. And into the dark room, I'd read a book and I would pass right out. Most of the time before my kids would.
Yeah. No, that's happened.
And they'd be like, Dad.
My 4-year-old. Yeah. No.
Up.
She'll wake me.
Finish the book.
Daddy, finish the book. Finish the book.
Sorry. But it's emotionally draining. So then you look at, and even people not doing this work, if we're having a hard time managing our feelings, or we're just living in that state of anxiety or shame or judgment or any of the things we talk about, right? When we're kind of like living in that acute kind of state, that intense, and the intensity is turned up all the time, it's exhausting. We're just run down.
Yeah.
And so now you start to look at people are walking around in society and in culture, in our groups, in our towns and neighborhoods. When we talk about everybody's walking around exhausted mentally, because they're taking in all this information. They are exhausted emotionally because it's just so much. It's so overwhelming. And there's no release valve or any relief from the pressure cooker. So, I always think of that if you've ever like pressure cooked food,
right?
I always think like the Instapot, right?
Yeah.
Like I gotta tap the thing over to like let the steam go off for like 5 minutes before it's actually probably safe to open.
How do we release the pressure when we're feeling emotional exhaustion? Like I guess it's mindfulness.
What does that mean? What's mindfulness?
Mindfulness, that's a catch-all term that is overused. When I say mindfulness, I'm thinking in terms of like somatic, body-based self-regulation techniques. So meditation would be one.
Right.
I was never really good at meditating until I was introduced to transcendental meditation, which is so simple that even I can do it.
Yeah, people get worried about or intimidated by the idea. Oh, I can't do that. I can't stay focused. I can't sit that long.
Right.
But that's not exactly what that is.
I absolutely felt that way until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's just not for me. I can't sit still. I need to be in motion. And, that ties into this whole idea that we were speaking about earlier, like performance.
Yeah.
I have definitely been driven by a sense for as long as I can remember, I need to perform at all times.
Right.
and I need to perform. I need to outperform whatever my last performance was. And potentially I need to outperform everybody here. I need to win.
Of course. You have to be the best.
Right. In order to be barely acceptable.
That's right. Because in your mind, you're still like, yeah, I'm barely making it.
Yeah. Right. I'm just hanging on behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah.
So I think, again, mindfulness techniques that work for me, meditation works, remembering to breathe, as overused as that can seem or sound, just remembering to breathe right now. If I just go and hold it and then release it, I've just changed my body chemistry.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I feel differently.
It's amazing.
I think differently.
You do. I've done this exercise with people and everybody says, take a deep breath. That's kind of good advice, but it's not great advice, because when we think about fight or flight again, and I love going back to this, it's all about fight or flight.
Right.
When we go
and freeze and fawn.
But when we think about fight or flight, the two kind of like, I'm going to run or freak out about this.
Right.
What happens is that somebody says, hey, take a deep breath. When you run or exercise, you're taking deep breaths, right?
Yeah.
Where are you breathing into?
Breathing into my belly.
When you exercise?
Oh, what am I breathing into?
Yeah.
In terms of my body?
You breathe into your chest.
Oh, no, in my lungs. Right. Okay.
When we run, when we exercise, when we're faced with fight or flight, we suddenly want to breathe into our chest, because all of a sudden we need oxygen to get into our blood,
right,
so that we can pump our heart faster and then tense up our muscles. And we need all of that to work. Remember that well-oiled machine?
Right.
That's how it works. So every time we're exercising, running, doing anything that's intense physically,
right,
we breathe into our chest. When we're freaking out and having anxiety, the first thing somebody says to us is take a deep breath. And the first thing that we do is go, and we breathe into our chest and we take a deep breath.
Right.
And it increases our anxiety because we're getting more blood or more oxygen into our blood. And it's increasing our ability to fight or run.
Right.
That's not what we want to do. You mentioned breathing into your belly. That's what we want to do.
Right.
It's diaphragmatic breathing is the technical term. It's breathing deep into your stomach.
Right.
Well,
so much
not technically into your stomach, but yeah.
Well, so much so that my stomach rises when I take that deep breath.
That's right.
It's really unflattering.
So what we want to do is we've heard about box breathing, or a lot of people, or that circular breathing, and you kind of gave an example. We breathe in for 4 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds, whatever you're comfortable with. Hold it for a moment, and then breathe out. And then we do it again. So it's these extended breaths in, hold it briefly, and then breathe out. But the thing we want to look at, and this is a good exercise for everybody listening too. And I used to do this on the subway. I used to do this walking down the street in New York, where it's just so much that you're being inundated with.
Right.
You can practice this and do this everywhere. You don't have to close your eyes. You put one hand on your chest just to get used to what the feeling is. So if you take one hand, put it on your chest, you take your other hand and you put it on your stomach, but put your thumb right on your belly button so that the palm of your hand is resting below your belly button on your stomach. And when you breathe out, you want to make sure your bottom hand, the one over your stomach, is moving more than your top one.
Right.
Or when you're breathing in and out.
Right.
And that's
great.
Helps you really practice diaphragmatic breathing. Your top one's going to move. You're still going to, because you're breathing in your lungs, but you really want to see you're getting, you're already feeling it, right?
Yeah, I'm relaxing a little bit.
And this is a good thing to practice. So you can lay down on the couch, lay down on your floor, lay down on the bed, and just put your hand on your stomach, right below your belly button, and one on your chest, and just breathe in for 4, hold it, breathe out for 4, and hold that.
Right.
And then you go through that 30 seconds, a minute. If you do that, and you're right, you will change your chemistry. You physiologically make that change.
Right.
It's physiologically impossible to experience anxiety if you are belly breathing, because it's rest and digest. You're forcing that switch. And sometimes the switch in our brain, remember we've talked about sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, fight or flight versus rest and digest. We want to sometimes our brain, the switch gets stuck. It's been overused. It gets a little wonky. So we want to be able to switch that manually.
Okay.
Doing this breathing will switch that manually. When you're physically exhausted, when you're emotionally exhausted, when you're mentally exhausted, stop for 30 seconds and do the breathing. When you're sitting on the subway or you're in your car, just practice this. Just practice when you're sitting in a chair at work, letting your belly do the breathing for you.
Right.
And it will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And you practice this a couple times a day if you want. Even one time a day will make a huge difference.
It's so funny. In terms of anxiety, when I do belly breathing, and I actually use the method that you recommended,
Mm-hmm.
where I place a hand on my belly and I can see that hand rising.
Yeah.
This is so funny. I go to this place of shame and panic for a moment of like, oh my God, I'm not allowed to have a soft belly.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to have a big belly.
Right.
I need to kind of crunch
Right.
and have abs and be tough and strengthen everything and tighten everything
Right.
to be ready for what's next.
Yeah.
And there's so much vulnerability in taking a deep belly breath and allowing the belly to be soft and allowing it to expand.
That's right.
I can't do that if I'm feeling triggered or that I'm in a place of danger.
Right. And when you are tensing your muscles and your core and just holding on and white knuckling it
Mhm.
all day long, I would imagine it feels pretty exhausting by the end of the day,
By the end of the day.
by the end of the week, by the end of the month,
Right.
over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And we get progressively more tired and exhausted. And we know that when we get tired, we have no resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Think about a toddler. Think about a little kid. Like, you could look at your kids when they were little and go, they're tired. They're getting cranky.
Right.
They're getting cranky. They're talking back. They're acting
They're
out.
crying.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
They have no emotional stability when they're tired.
Right.
We're no different,
Yeah.
but we're expected to be different.
That's a wonderful point.
Yeah.
And how many of us, when we're in this tizzy, as my friend Shirley calls it, of just, being like spinning around and trying to be quote unquote high performance
Right.
in every sphere, in every realm, we forget the basics.
We do.
I forget to breathe. I forget to eat.
Yeah.
I forget to drink water.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just drink some more coffee. Hey, hello. The coffee is the diuretic. The coffee is
Yeah.
actually making me more dehydrated.
That's right.
And when I listen to all of this, when I listen to you talking about how our bodies regulate themselves, we are these, as Fiona Apple said, extraordinary machines.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we don't give our bodies enough credit and we don't allow them to just do their job.
That's right. And we don't fuel it the
Mhm.
right way. It's all of it. There's an acronym that I love. And we've talked about, I think last time we met, we talked about fear, right?
Yeah.
And you had a wonderful,
Future events already ruined.
that a couple of people told me that one resonated really well
Yeah.
with them.
Future
that was
tripping, yeah.
Yeah. And I had false evidence appearing real.
Mhm.
There's another one that I love. And it's funny, I was talking with somebody yesterday and they reminded me of this one. They're like, you told me this one a long time ago. It's HALT, HALT.
Yes.
And that one's hungry, angry, lonely, and tired.
When we're feeling any of those things, we are going to be dysregulated.
Of course. So if we stop for a second and think at any point in our day, how often do we feel hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? I'm probably consistently at least two of those things.
Oh yeah, at
Right.
least
At least
for me.
one. And then there's a good chance we're kind of always hungry and tired, right? Because that's what we're talking about.
Right.
We're managing all this exhaustion.
And we're machines. We're
machines. And we want food. Food feels good. We're hungry. I think the hunger can expand past just food too.
Right.
But we're hungry and we're tired. And then we talked about feeling lonely,
Mm-hmm.
right? The more we use our phone, the more we have this idea that we're connected, but we're not.
Right.
And I think if we really spoke to people and people were honest, I think there's more of a sensation of loneliness now than ever.
Absolutely.
And so people are lonely, and we're kind of angry because it's a good defense mechanism.
Right. Well, anger and it can be, masked sadness. It can be a lot of other
That's right.
feelings that we maybe don't feel as comfortable expressing or we're not as aware of. Loneliness is so interesting to me. When I'm feeling exhausted, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, mentally, physically, emotionally. I have this thought like, oh my God, I'm just plugged into too many things and too many people. What I need is a retreat. I need to just go sit in a mountain somewhere by myself. And the truth is, that can be restorative to up to a point.
Yeah.
But if I really go hard on the hermit trip and isolate myself, I start to feel lonely, and that makes me feel exhausted.
That's right.
I can get so tired when I'm alone.
Yeah. So you asked what we can do to kind of combat some of these feelings, the exhaustion. You mentioned breathing, meditating, right? And meditating can be as simple as doing the circular breathing, diaphragmatic breathing.
Yeah.
Connecting with other people. Like maybe it's taking a little bit of time to go for a walk, taking a 5-minute break, removing yourself from the exhausting situation is really important. I do that all the time. If I have an hour, I run out for a quick hike. I go for a walk around.
You do that.
I do.
I love that
all the time. I might take a call. I might just check in with, the family, things like that, but I will get out and I have to. Otherwise I go stir crazy.
Right.
But I also still need to connect to people. And so I kind of combine the two things. I might go for a hike. My wife laughs all the time because I go for hikes and I like call her, I'll text.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, you should see this. This is amazing. I want to share the thing I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
Right. But there is that draw to still connect with it, right? With others and to share to the experience. That helps. That restores. That's when we're exhausted, and getting out, restoring some of your energy in nature, I think it's really important. Even if it's just a walk around the block, just removing yourself from the situation you're in for 5 minutes.
And absolutely. And it does change our brain chemistry to be in nature, to be outside, to feel, somatics. We talk a lot about feeling the grass beneath our feet.
That's right.
And how grounding that is. It's so easy to laugh at all this stuff and be like, how many times have I heard that with like spa music underneath it? But it really does.
Yeah.
It works. There's a reason why people are recommended to do this stuff. And also I love the idea you just hit on about how restorative it is to connect with others, because it's easy to say, I am exhausted. I'm fried. The last thing I want to do is talk to anybody after the day I've had.
Yeah.
When in reality, we do need to do that. That'll make you feel better.
It will. Because remember, just sitting in a room with somebody else, just connecting with somebody else
regulates us.
It regulates the cortisol and turns on the oxytocin.
Right.
And
the love hormone.
That's right. That's right. And it reduces the stress one.
Yeah.
And so we want that process.
Yeah.
But it's just good, even if we're not talking about anything of importance, just connecting to somebody else in that moment after a long day might feel good.
Yeah.
I usually need about 5 or 10 minutes to really just shake it all off. And then I can be a human again and like kind of interact with others.
Right.
I had a colleague a long time ago tell me that after their day, they'd be walking up their steps to their apartment, and before they entered their apartment, they would actually go through the physical movement of wiping off their day.
Yeah.
And wiping their arms and their body off, and just kind of like shedding a lot of the stress and everything they heard for the day.
Yeah. Sometimes we talk about that as negative energy.
Yeah. And that was their process before they entered their home.
Yeah.
To say, I'm going to walk through my door and leave everything outside.
Right.
And I can be a different person inside.
I love that.
I can connect with my people inside.
Going back to performance in my old life, I maintained this and I upheld it. If you're coming into rehearsal, you leave your shit at the door, meaning you don't bring in whatever negativity you've experienced or stress or anxiety or depression, challenges. You try to just like check that at the door so that we can be during the rehearsal fully present for the work. Right. And if it was rehearsal for music or a show, being present for the work meant being able to connect with those we're collaborating with.
Yeah. What a great idea. Think about that, like in a wonderful kind of like way to live. Like leave all of your stuff right at the door.
Yeah.
Think about how often that does not happen now.
Right?
How are you doing? I'm exhausted. I'm tired.
Right.
It's always, just working a lot. I'm doing this. People are coming with baggage, which is okay. We've all got baggage. We've all got stuff we walk around with. But every once in a while, it might be really nice to just walk into a situation, leave some of that at the door.
Right.
and just say, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity, the few moments I have with this person in the room, to just
be fully present.
Look at where your feet are. And they're both in the room. Yeah, right. Literally. Look at
I just did.
Yeah.
I just looked at my feet. I felt them on the ground. I registered it. I felt my ass in the chair.
Yeah, that's right. Would that take you half a second?
Yeah, literally.
Just to check in with yourself and be present.
And you know what occurred to me? The thought that occurred to me was, I have everything I need in this moment.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't wake up in the middle of the night, like, freaked out, or, first thing in the morning. Oh my God, what am I behind on? But if I do check in, I feel good. Yeah. I'm good in any given moment, really, I think.
I think most people would surprise themselves with that. If we can block out the noise. If we're thinking about the future, it's anxiety. If we're thinking about the past, it's depression. And we're missing today.
Right. We're missing this present moment.
Yeah.
And being with each other. So many of us, we take that for granted. We start to regret choosing to have a family or to be in a committed relationship that involves cohabitation.
Sure.
We start fantasizing about, I really just, God, it was so much better when I had time on my own. And then everyone I know who isn't in a partnership, the grass is always greener. They're always saying like, I just feel so lonely. I just feel so lonely sometimes. Right. So to appreciate those moments of connection, I think is huge.
So we have looking where your feet are, literally, right? Down at your feet, they're here. You kind of like expand on that a little bit, recognizing what you have around you. And this idea that what you have is enough.
Right.
Right. You don't need more and more and more. You've had less before.
Right.
Right. So we have enough. We have what we need right now. Right? We add on all the anxieties with everything. And that's overwhelming and exhausting. And we anything we can do individually to push some of that away or keep it at arm's length, it's helpful.
I'm so interested in incorporating more of that in my everyday life. And that, we've talked about it before, it requires vulnerability.
That's right.
And if we have this idea that we have to be high performance all the time and we have to outperform you or whomever I'm in the room with, there's no chance that I'm going to be vulnerable. There's no chance that I'm going to share my own halt, when I'm hungry, angry, or lonely, or tired. I love it when people share that with me. I mean, that's part of being a therapist, right? Yeah. Bring me you're hungry, you're angry, you're tired, and I will listen.
That's right.
And I will not judge you.
I think that's a great idea for a t-shirt.
Right?
Bring me you're hungry, you're angry.
It's solid. Yeah. We'll get to our merch.
Yeah.
Lumen merch.
Totally.
But it's so important for me to remember that because I have this little voice in my head that says, in any given situation, I need to perform or else. And what happens if I don't?
I'd be curious for you, for me, for everybody listening too. What if we stopped paying attention to that little voice and listened to like what other people's voices said about us instead?
Right.
Like, what does your voice say about me? What does my voice say about you? Not what does your voice say about you?
Yeah.
Because as we talked about, everybody has cognitive distortions, right? Those unhelpful thinking styles we went over, right? Some of those really negative kind of cycles. It is typically not aligned with what other people think about us. And I think most people would be surprised.
Yeah.
To hear like genuinely what other people think or feel about us.
Absolutely. And there can be a negative sort of like an inversion of that where stop thinking too much about what other people think of you. What you think about yourself is all that matters. And that's useful when people around me are shitting on me.
Right.
But I tend to discount the wonderful, positive, loving things, supportive things that people say about me to me.
Yeah.
And what happens if I just give them a little more credence?
That's right. Or you take it at its value.
Right.
Oh, this is a really positive thing. That might actually energize you a little and you won't feel so exhausted.
Right. And to surround ourselves with people we trust.
That's right.
And then, if you are going to tell me something positive about myself, I respect you. I value your opinion. Why wouldn't I listen? It's a little adjustment, but I think it's it has far-reaching effects.
These things are all practice. We talked about practice. We think about a commitment to doing these things. It's the same with yoga, with exercise, with meditation, with religion, with whatever we are connected to in our life, whatever is important. It's called a practice for a reason. That's we have to continue the upkeep in order to make it work.
Are we getting a message from this exhausting world that we're living in today that it's not okay to practice? Because sometimes I feel that way.
Tell me more about that.
You should just be able to do something right off the bat. You should be able to just do it perfectly. And if you can't, then you suck.
Yeah, you're a failure if you cannot just perform, right?
Right.
Back to that performance thing.
Yeah.
I think that's probably true. I think we have this expectation because of what we see that we should know how to do everything. And there's no space for learning. There's no space for error.
Right.
There's no space for just, maybe I'm just not that good at that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember when Barack Obama said about cancel culture years ago, he said, somebody who was actually a political opponent of his had been canceled. And he said, let's be careful about this.
Yeah.
Let's be careful because we're allowing no room for error.
That's right.
And no place for practice. We are constantly evolving. We're constantly changing. And that's something that can get lost in this day and age. And especially with like everyone using AI all the time. Like, oh, I should, the answer's right here in my pocket.
Right. It's
we're not. No, it's not. It's not. You're reading something that's been fed to you, whether or not it's true.
Which is distorted also.
Right. It's delusional.
Yeah.
It's an article in the Times, I think, this morning about like AI delusions and how therapists are having to combat them with clients. Yeah. But allowing for practice, allowing for mistakes. As a parent, I look at my young children, 4 and 7, they learn by making mistakes.
Absolutely.
And there's also part of me that wants to protect them from making mistakes.
Yeah, that's the frustrating part about parenting, right?
Right.
And which is you want to like be like, no, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. But we have to learn by the mistake. We have to learn, and some people learn by watching somebody else make a mistake.
Right.
And other people have to burn their hand on the stove a few times before they learn.
Right.
That's, and you try to minimize the damage along the way.
It's true, but it's very useful to remember that, and also to counter this perfectionism that I think we're all contending with on some level.
Yeah.
That's exhausting. The pressure to be perfect, the pressure to look perfect, the pressure to be a perfect whatever it is that you do. Whether that's being, as I mentioned before, being a parent or being a therapist or being a lawyer or being a doctor or being an actor.
Just existing. You're supposed to do it perfectly.
Fuck that. I'm so not interested in perfect people, I have to say, as high as my standards are for myself. Thank God I always fall short of them. Thank God I will never achieve perfection.
Right.
Because perfect is like an AI image that's too clean and too perfect. As we mentioned last time, I want stretch marks.
Some character.
I want some character. Character is aspirational, and character comes from mistakes and learning and practice. Practice builds character.
It builds character. You get bumped and scraped along the way. We've said it before.
Yes, we've said it before, and I need to keep saying it because I need to keep hearing it. And so do my clients.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Lumen. If today's conversation resonated with you, we encourage you to follow, review, and share Lumen with anyone you think would appreciate it.
We'll be back soon with another conversation designed to bring a little more light to the human condition. I'm Christopher Mooney, LCSW.
And I'm Kenyon Phillips, LMSW.
Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Lumen is for educational and informational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for therapy, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis, please contact local emergency services or a trusted mental health professional.